It has been said that an endorsement from five-term Iowa Republican Governor Terry Branstad could be a game changer for a Republican presidential contender, but so far, only he knows who his favorite is.
That's right. Governor Branstad joins us now this morning. Governor, good to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you for being in the state capitol, our beautiful law library. We're glad to have you here today.
So we're waiting on pins and needles.
Yes.
Who are you for?
Well, you know, I've tried to be a good host and welcome all the candidates. We appreciate the time, the energy, the effort, all the volunteers and all the money they're spending in Iowa. And so I think the voters should decide that. I've never thought that endorsements were worth a lot, and consequently, I'm going to keep my vote secret, but I want to do all I can to try to unite the Republicans, because we just cannot afford 4 more years of Obama, because he's increased the national debt $1 trillion every year that he's been president. He attacks the very people we need to invest to create jobs, the entrepreneurs and the business people, and we just need new leadership. And I think the voters should choose the one they think is the strongest. There's a lot of good candidates. Make the choice is not easy, and you know, we've had a lot of front runners, and it may be a surprise by tomorrow night.
Well, you know, that it is kind of interesting, but Norah was just saying a while ago, it's not just that you haven't endorsed anybody. Chuck Grassley, the senator out here, hasn't endorsed anybody. Steve King, very close to Michelle Bachmann there in Washington, he still hasn't endorsed anybody. Why? I mean, are you afraid that Mitt Romney is going to win and maybe he's not all that popular out here?
No, not at all. I think we appreciate the fact that Mitt Romney got the message that he needs to come to Iowa and actively campaign, and he certainly is doing that now very aggressively. And I think it's going to be a very close race. But what we want to do is make sure we nominate the strongest candidate, because we just cannot afford to continue the direction we're going. America's going in the wrong direction. We don't want to be the next Europe, mired in debt, and without the opportunities that the free enterprise system has granted us throughout our nation's history.
You mentioned that Mitt Romney has not spent much time in this state compared to other candidates, but he's sure been a lot of his money in this state. And his friends and supporters, his super PAC has spent $4 million attacking Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich said last night that he feels like, not that he's been Swift voted, but that he's been Romney voted. And he said Romney would try and buy an election if he could. Do you agree with that?
Well, actually, Ron Paul's had probably the most effective negative ads against Newt Gingrich. And basically, whenever you become the front runner, Romney's had his share of attacks too. So, and yet that's part of the process. You've got to go through that. I had the most unusual situation last year. The Democratic Governors Association, masquerading and claiming to be a group of conservatives called Iowans for Responsible Government, spent $750,000 attacking me as not being conservative enough because they knew I was the strongest candidate. So, you know, this is the way politics is today. My mother warned me about it. She wanted me to be an engineer and not go into this business.
You know, it's kind of interesting, isn't it, Governor? Everybody said, well, this is just how it is today. Why didn't somebody change it? I mean, why do you stand for letting this kind of thing go on, these kind of ads? Now you've got this new bunch of stuff.
Well, the United States Supreme Court has said people have a right to do this as part of free speech. Just like the Occupy movement coming in and taking over and you know, disrupting events, and we don't like that, but it's all part of our system.
You know, my mother used to say something doesn't have to be illegal to be wrong.
I agree with you, Bob.
Why don't people just stand up and say, we're not going to do this anymore? I don't care what the Supreme Court says.
Well, first of all, Chris Christie has, I think, probably said it as effectively as anybody, and I think he's had a good way of handling these kind of things. But we have to live by the rule of law, and we need to do the best we can with the circumstances we have. We are the greatest country in the world, but our future is in jeopardy if we don't have new leadership, I believe.
All right. Well, I'm glad we've all brought up our mothers in this interview. A strong influence on all of our lives. Governor Branstad, as always, good to see you. Thank you so much. We'll be back here in Iowa since this is a battleground state, certainly. So thank you so much.